So we're still using Paxels to get our source material, and this particular source clip I've got is this lemon being dropped into a tank of water. I particularly like this one. The tank looks pretty black. I think there's a hint of green in there, but we might just about get away with that for the sake of what we're trying to do. And the lemon is very yellow. So I'm going to drop my clip in. I'm going to keep my sequence settings. I'll put that into the invert sequence, that's why. Let's undo that. Let's close off the invert. Let's open a new one. Let's rename this HLS. And there's a reason I'm calling it HLS, which I'll come to next. So we're looking with this particular effect at something called hue, lightness and saturation. It comes under the colour balance adjustment within colour correction, and I'm going to drag that onto the clip. Now to start with, it's doing absolutely nothing, it's just sitting there as an effect, and what we're going to do is we're going to look at what each different part of this effect does. Now the first thing to be aware of is that this effect will work on the entire video layer unless we mask off a particular area we want, but for the sake of this we can do it on the whole layer. Let's see what it does. If we click and drag the lightness slider up, it's going to add white to the whole image, to the whole layer of video. Or if we take it down, it will add black to the whole layer of video until there's nothing there. Saturation is the intensity of colour. So if we ramp the saturation up, it's going to amplify all of the colours, which is kind of good actually, because it lets us see quite how much blue is in the image. And if we take the saturation all the way out, then there will be no saturation. This is known as a desaturated image, and there's no colour within it. I'm going to leave that at 0. The hue is actually the colour itself. So within this, if we look at its most basic, we've got yellow. And as I drag the hue through, what it'll do is it will change that yellow. And you can see that happening, right? And that's just going to cycle the hue. That's all that's happening, is it's just cycling through those colours. Now, what I want to do is I want to program it to cycle the hue. So I'm going to hit the stopwatch at the start, and at the moment it's at 0 degrees. And I'm going to go to the end of the clip, which is 8 seconds long. And I've already hit the stopwatch, so I've got a keyframe, and now I'm going to cycle it, and I want it to do 2 full revolutions. So I'm going to do 2 times 0. Now I know that what will happen now, if I go directly into the middle, which would be 4 frames and 10 seconds, it will be 4 seconds and 10 frames, it will be at 1 revolution fully, and then as I go backwards it's just going through that 360-degree circle. And if we play the video through, we'll get this lemon that drops in and changes colour as it bobs, which is a kind of interesting idea. Well, I think it's an interesting idea. It's kind of nice as if we crop the top off and we keep the centre, we could have multiple ones and they could be bobbing at different times. So let's give that a go. Let's mask out with the opacity and let's make it a square mask. Well, sorry, it's not going to be square, it's going to be rectangular. Let's drag it over here. And let's just feather it. Now what feather's doing is it's just going to blend it into its surroundings. It doesn't really look like much has changed, but that's because the whole background's black, and within this video it's pretty black anyway. So there we've got the lemon bobbing and changing colour. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate the video layer, so holding down Alt and dragging it up, and I'm going to move it over to the left, at which point we've got 2 lemons that can both bob down in sync with one another. And for the sake of it, let's have a third one, because all good things come in threes. Let's drag that over there. And then we get the 3 in sync. And I mean, you can keep going if you want. I'm not sure my computer can screen record and keep up with it. What I'm going to do now though is I'm just going to play with that a little bit. So I'm going to reverse this one. So I'm just going to go to speed and duration and choose reverse speed, so that that one will drop in differently, because it's going to start. See, it just can't keep up anymore. That was a bit frustrating, but it's reversed everything, including all the colour settings, so that hue cycles at the opposite time. So I'm going to reverse the speed of this one as well, just because I can. Oh, that's the wrong one. It's the right one I wanted to do. Speed and duration, tick reverse speed. There we go, and we're going to get this bobbin effect where, I mean, I'm just going to have to show you in individual frames, or what I'll do is I'll maybe do an export of the video so that you can see that in the recording, but you get an idea of what's going on, right? So again, it's just something that's a little bit visually interesting. Now you might be thinking, it's all well and good, James, right? I get this, I get what you're doing, but what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with that video? Well, if we look back at our invert video, I'm kind of regretting redoing all the masks now. So let me just take those masks back out. We've got that lovely inverted video there that I could really do with going and retweaking. If I put the HLS effect on top with the lemon, and then let's go through and let's change the blending mode maybe to screen at that point, and there's no way this is playing. But you'll get those lemons then moving over the top of something else. So again, it's just about layering up and building our creative output sequences. The important thing from this is, though, with this one, that you're learning about how HLS works, if it'll ever refresh. And the main reason I want you to learn about that is so that when you're starting to create videos, you can be really thinking about colour and the way that colour can be used within that space. So that right there is colour balance, HLS. We have programmed a cycle of the hue using keyframes. So we went to the start of time, we hit the stopwatch to turn keyframes on. It plotted us a keyframe, which we can't see, but it's somewhere over here. Maybe if I zoom out, will it let me zoom out? No. No, it won't. We hit the stopwatch anyway, and that was very much at 0. And then we went to the end of time and we changed the hue, which plotted a second keyframe, and then it just cycled through those 2 points for us so that we get the ever colour changing bouncing lemon. I don't think I've ever said that in one of my classes before. Anyway, get some footage off Pexels. You can find the lemon if you look hard enough, but it might be that you choose to use something else. So head on over to Pexels, and then that might be really fun to play with changing the hue of. Although it's a very strange resolution as an image. That's really loud, man. Anyway, yeah, that might be a nice one. But have a little look through Pexels, see what you come up with, and again, post your results over in the chat for us.